Hey YouTube, welcome back to the college football preview show. This is your man Dylan coming to you once again for now starting week number 2 of the college football season. A jam-packed week number 1 with high expectations. Kind of had a little bit of a deflating end at the end of it. But we are now on to week number 2, and my featured matchup of the week will be a Big Ten SEC showdown in Norman, Oklahoma, featuring the 15th ranked Michigan Wolverines taking on the 18th ranked Oklahoma Sooners on Saturday Night Football on ABC. I'll discuss this matchup along with 4 other matchups in this week's preview. But before we do that, let's go ahead and review the AP Top 25 that was released on Monday. So, Ohio State was number 3. They defeated Texas, who dropped down to number 7, jumped up to the number 1 spot, and are the number 1 team in the land. Penn State follows at number 2, so that means you have a Ohio State, Penn State 1-2 Big Ten top. LSU had a massive win over Clemson. They jumped up to number 3. Clemson followed number 8 there. The big thing, though, Alabama took a tumble, and I mean a severe tumble, starting at number 8, losing to Florida State. They jumped down to number 21, and Florida State is in the top 25 for the first time in forever. They are now ranked number 14 behind their in-state rival in Florida. But if the playoff ended today, those top 12 teams that are on your left side of the screen will be the teams that are in the college football playoff. Again, there are no, conference champions get a bye and all that stuff. That's all out the window. So now it's just a straight top 12. That's going to make it. So right now, Ohio State would be the top dog at number 1. Utah rounds out the top 25 at number 25. All right. So the matchups I'll be discussing this week, I've got 4 matchups. We'll discuss Big Noon Kickoff, which features an in-state rivalry, the battle for the Cyderhawk Trophy between Iowa and Iowa State. We've got the border war between Kansas and Missouri. Oregon as number 6 in the lane, taking on Oklahoma State on CBS. And then, of course, the night matchup between Michigan and Oklahoma. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, first matchup on tap that I'll be discussing will be, again, the battle for the Cyderhawk Trophy between Iowa and Iowa State this year. This game is in Ames, Iowa. Iowa State is 2-0. They did defeat Kansas State in Ireland in week number 0. They got a big win against a nobody opponent in week number 1. So they're at 2-0 and 1-0 in conference play. And Iowa won 34-7 against an FCS opponent or a Division II opponent. So it really doesn't matter. But they're at 1-0. This will be Big Noon Kickoff on Fox. Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt and Jenny Taft will be on the call. Iowa State is a 2.5-point favorite. Over-under is 43.5. Iowa has won the last 6 matchups in Ames, and when you think 6 matchups, you think 12 here. So it has been a hot minute since Iowa State has won at home. Arguably, Iowa State has the better roster on hand. They've got a better quarterback, and Rocco Becht there as, I believe, the senior quarterback. When he played in Ireland, he looked kind of sloppy. Only had 50% completion percentage, but did have 2 touchdowns to the air, 1 touchdown on the ground to get the job done in Ireland. But they moved up to number 16 in the polls this week, and they're going to take on a scrappy Iowa team that Kirk Ferentz ties the great Woody Hayes, the former Buckeye head coach, with 205 wins as a Big Ten coach. He'll be looking for win 206 to move into the number 1 spot as the winningest head coach in Big Ten history. Iowa leads the all-time series 47-24. Last 5 years, this rivalry has just been awesome to watch. It's been game-winning field goal after drama, after so much more drama. And the best part of this matchup is that it happens not during rivalry week, so it gets a nice prime time, national attention for this matchup, which I love for those little smaller schools that don't get the notoriety that they deserve. So with this one, Iowa, as I said earlier, has won the last 6 meetings in Ames, so that has been 12 years since Iowa State has won at home in this rivalry, and I think they're due to have a big-time win. I have them going to 3-0 in this one. They will go ahead and win this one and defeat the Iowa Hawkeyes. Iowa's Kirk Ferentz will still be at 205 career wins as a Big Ten coach, but I will have Iowa State winning this one at home. They'll go to 3-0 on the season, and they will look forward in week number 3 for Iowa State. They'll take on Arkansas State, so who really cares? And then Iowa in week number 3, they will take on University of Massachusetts Minutemen, who have been an afterthought since 1995. But give me Iowa State at home to round out the Big Noon Kickoff. All right, my next matchup will be the border war between Kansas and Missouri. This has been a rivalry that has originated years ago. They have both been in the Big 12 for a long time before Missouri went off to the SEC back in 2000. I believe it was like 13 or something when it was the first mass exodus, the Big 12 to the SEC. But Missouri is a 6.5 point favorite at home. I do not know who's on the call for this one. I have not checked the maps or anything. But this game will be at 3:30 on ESPN2. So not on ESPN, but it'll be on more of the smaller ESPN channels. Both of the teams had convincing wins in their week one opponents. Kansas beat the crap out of Fresno State last Friday. Missouri put up 61 on a FCS opponent. Who really cares? That's what most of these teams play nowadays. Is those FCS and like lower division opponents in the first couple weeks, unless you're like Ohio State or Alabama or anyone like that. But with this one, it's going to be fun. So it's called the Border War. Missouri leads the all-time series 56-55, and there have been 9 ties in the game. And again, Missouri is a 6.5 point favorite. Over/under is 53.5. Now, I do not know much about this rivalry, having been a born and bred Buckeye fan, so this one is not really, like in my head, like, oh my god, this is happening. But I know this is a big deal, because these are 2 smaller programs that usually don't have a lot of meaningful football games, at least early in the season, that have national attention. So the fact that this one's going on ESPN2 does call attention to this one, but not as much as it should. But since this one is in Missouri, I'm going to take the Tigers at home to get this one done. I think Kansas, they looked kind of flat last week against Fresno State. They had issues putting up points, especially at the beginning of the first half there. But I would take Missouri as the home favorite. I do have Kansas covering the 6.5 point spread, but go ahead and give me Missouri to go to 2-0 on the season and get a nice non-conference win against Kansas. All right, my third game on slate will be CBS's 3:30 national game featuring the Big Ten team. It will be the Oregon Ducks, number 6 in the land, taking on the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Oregon is a whopping 28.5 point favorite at home. Over/under is 58.5. Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson and Jenny Dell will be on the call for this one in Eugene. Of course, Eugene Stadium has been known as Austin Zoo. Its legal name is Austin Stadium, but it's just a zoo. It is loud. It is obnoxious. Of course, Oregon, they got a big win against, again, an FCS opponent, so it really wasn't anything worthy of note. But this is going to be their first D1 opponent that they take on during this season. And then Oregon, after this test, they have to go on the road to Northwestern. But of course, Oregon is kind of looking ahead to that end of September matchup when they go to Happy Valley and take on Penn State. But before that, they got to get through this test. And Mike Gundy is still there at Oklahoma State. I don't know how he is, but he is still hanging there by like a loose thread, barely. And of course, we know that Mike Gundy's famous, I'm a man speech. It's been pretty much his signature moment, I must say. But Oklahoma State, they've got their backs against the wall in this one. They have not been anything worthy of note, especially not even the CFP era, but just like national attention in a very long time. We probably go back to, I think, Mason Rudolph when he was there years ago, last time that they were any good. But Oregon, I think this is going to be just a drubbing. I think Oregon's going to win this one. I do think Oklahoma State is going to keep it close. I do not see Oregon covering a 4-touchdown spread. That is insane. At least even in the college ranks, that just sounds insane against a D1 opponent. So I would take Oregon at home in this one, but I have Oklahoma State covering the 28.5 point spread in this one. All right, and my last matchup will be Saturday Night Football on ABC. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, and Holly Rowe will be on the call for this one. It'll be the 15th ranked Michigan Wolverines going on the road in a true road game, taking on the 18th ranked Oklahoma Sooners. This has got a lot riding on it. Not to mention, this is 2 of the biggest brands in college football going head to head in a true road game for Michigan. This rarely ever happens, and I'm just glad we're still in that era where we still do that. Oklahoma is a 4.5 point favorite at home. Over/under is 46.5 points. So, with Michigan, they got a nice win against the University of New Mexico Lobos at home to open up Bryce Underwood's, the freshman phenom's rookie season. Did he look kind of flat? Yeah, he had some technical errors throughout. He wasn't like, off the charts, like, wow. Oklahoma, though, on the other hand, has been kind of an afterthought ever since they made that move to the SEC. They have struggled to win like 6 or 7 games, which sounds completely crazy to me because Oklahoma was used to be in that category of like, okay, they're going to contend for a national title every year. But this year, they're very much in that running, especially in a wide open SEC. Who knows what's going to happen? Oklahoma did beat an FCS opponent, but that really doesn't matter. But this is going to be a litmus test for the University of Oklahoma because playing in an SEC schedule where they got to take on Texas, South Carolina is going to be good, Tennessee, and Bama, and LSU. All the season. This is going to be, is Oklahoma ready to rise up to the challenge? Now, I'm not saying Michigan is going to be the barometer of like the Bamas and the South Carolinas and the Texas of the world. Who knows? They could be. But I just think with Michigan going on the road in this one, I just think it's going to be crazy. Game day is going to be their first game day without Lee Corso. I think Lee Corso is he's just a fan favorite for everybody. He's 6 for 6 in his final picks. Awesome stuff. But there will be in Norman for this one. I think the fact that they're going to have this is an SEC on ABC kind of a game, and which is everything going on, and not to mention with Michigan and all of the off the field issues with the scandal and the punishment from the NCAA and all that stuff. I think they've got their backs are kind of against the wall in this one. So I do not think they're going to be ready to win this one. Not to mention Michigan. They're going to have plenty of opportunities on their schedule. They still have to go play Nebraska. And of course, they end the season with Ohio State at home every year. So that's going to be a big one. But with this one, I just think Oklahoma has just got an edge. And they're looking to get back to national supremacy. And they're just looking to just look competitive and win those competitive high-level matchups against a Power 5 opponent. So, I'll take Oklahoma in this one. I do have them covering a 4.5-point spread. I think they're going to win by either 6 or 7 points. In this one, it won't be a blowout. I think it's going to be tight till the very end. So, you're going to want to stick around past halftime. This one is going to be fun to watch. But give me Oklahoma at home to round out your week number 2 in college football. All right, this wraps up my second college football video for the season. Of course, who knows what's going to happen in week number 2? You got to have an upset specials all over the place. We saw that last week with Florida State starting off the upset season special with beating Alabama. But looking ahead to week number 3, some nice games on the schedule. We got Wisconsin, Alabama. We've got an SEC matchup in Knoxville. That's going to be fun. We've got LSU in Florida. We got A&M and Notre Dame. We've got a bunch of matches next week. So this next week, we're going to have a lot more matches to talk about. But until then, this is your man Dylan signing off for week number 2 of the college football season. Enjoy your college football Saturday.